Good day. My name is Margie O'Driscoll, and I'm the competition advisor for the Architecture at Zero competition. Architecture at Zero is a design competition for decarbonization, equity, and resilience, open to students and professionals anywhere in the world. It serves to engage people from architecture, design, engineering, and planning in the pursuit of sustainable design. Our 2024 competition challenge is to design a new building on a middle school campus in East Los Angeles, California. The new building will replace relocatable classrooms and include science labs, art classroom, a makerspace, outdoor learning environments, and a teacher workroom. While the competition program location is Griffith Steam Magnet Middle School, note that this is an ideas competition and is not a real project. Today, I am so honored to introduce you to Julia Hawkinson, who is a new fellow at the American Institute of Architects and also works for Los Angeles Unified School District. But before I talk with Julia, I do want to thank our sponsors, 3 California utilities, and the competition organizer, AIA California. Our sponsors are PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, SCE, Southern California Edison, and SoCal Gas. So thank you to them for their support of this really important program. Julia, I'm so excited to have you with us today.
It's
Thank
great
you
to
for
be
joining
here.
us. Yeah, thank you for joining us. What I wanted to ask you first was, can you talk a little bit about the importance of learning environments and how that shapes students' learning experience?
Yeah, we can't talk enough about this. I think we all went to school and we learned in classrooms. And the environment that we learned in has a huge impact on our experience. Did we feel like we belonged there? Did we feel like we were cared about? Was the environment we were in, did it support our learning experience? Did it have adequate daylight? Was the air quality good so that I was awake and alert and ready to learn? And all these things are things that we build that are part of the architecture and the design of our schools. And to think about those every step of the way, just the view out the window. What do our students see when they look out the window? What is the environment that they're in? I also want to talk a lot about the power of place. Schools are a very important place. We spend a lot of time at school, and that identity, that connection to the design of our school, that memory that we hold. And if it's an old school, a historic school, our grandmother might have gone there, and she's carrying that power of place with you as well, and you're carrying that with you. Or maybe just your older brother went there. So that continuity, that identity, that connection to place is another reason why the design of our schools is so important, because we're embedding a lasting memory in our students for their future when they remember those days at school, not just what that experience felt like, but what our buildings looked like and, our connection to those places.
Your passion is so strong. I can feel it across the internet. I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit about Los Angeles Unified School District. It's a second largest school district in the United States, and whether you are currently building new schools, rebuilding schools. Obviously, you have a lot of old buildings, I'm sure, because the school district's been around for a long time. Could you speak in really general terms about how you're thinking about your building portfolio right now?
So we have a lot of different types of projects currently underway. We don't build new schools anymore, typically. We usually are upgrading our existing schools to bring them to more current standards. A lot of our projects are driven by conditions. So we have schools that are aging and deteriorating, historic schools or just older schools that need upgrades. We also have projects that are driven by replacing portables, like at Griffith, with a new classroom building. So that is a very typical program. We don't have a project specifically at Griffith, but we do have similar projects where we're going on to a school site, removing what was meant to be temporary buildings and replacing them with new buildings. And what those projects like Griffith, like this idea project, this conceptual project, allow us to do is give room back to the students, give more play yard, more outdoor space to the students. And that's a big driver of our program, to create that indoor-outdoor learning environment, which is so critical and necessary and just part of living in Los Angeles. That's a lot of what we do. We as a school district, like you hear a lot about our country, also have aging infrastructure. So as part of our projects, we're also doing a lot of things you don't see, which is improving the infrastructure and the support for our schools.
That's amazing. As you think about this building program focused on restoration, renovation, what are the broad objectives? What are you seeking to accomplish for students and faculty?
We want our students to be safe and secure and feel comfortable at school. That's a very big goal for us. Safety is always an important aspect of school buildings. We want our projects, when we invest in our schools, we want those systems to be sound to reduce the impact on maintenance, because that's a very big cost for a school district. So we want to build buildings that are sound and efficient. That it goes to everything from energy and water use, to the materials we use, to the plants that we plant. Everything we're doing towards the long life cycle cost and the maintenance of our buildings. And that's one reason, that's a big reason why we build sustainably, as well as the impact on our environment. And then always, every time we build, we're looking to align those facilities with the educational vision of the district. How do what we build support the learning journey for our students? Every step of the way, looking at every aspect of the building and how it's contributing to that student's learning experience.
That's incredibly holistic approach, which is really quite remarkable. My last question for you is a sort of big one. Los Angeles is perhaps one of the most diverse places in the United States in so many different ways. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about this idea of applying principles of equity to a building. That's one of the challenges within the competition, is we ask people to respond to how their building design helps support equity. How do you think about that?
I think at many different levels, where you build obviously supports equity, that when you build a science lab, that the science lab has standards. That's how our district works, that you're building a similar facility, and it's not dependent on what community you live in. All students deserve the same level and quality of facilities. So that's one way to look at it. The other important aspect I spoke about earlier is the sense of belonging, where all students feel like this is their school and they feel included. And to do that requires us to think about the design in a way that they feel comfortable when you go into a space, that you feel like you belong there. And that's another important way to look at how we make our schools for everyone.
Yeah, that sense of belonging is what's key to student academic success, I'm sure. If you feel like you're a part of that community, that you can actually bring your best self and your best mind to whatever geometry challenges you might be having. So I think that's so remarkable. Julia, is there
Well,
anything else? Oh, go
I was
ahead.
just going to say, along the lines, the research is backing that up. The research is showing that students that have a strong sense of identity do better in school. They achieve higher. Their self concept is more developed. Their confidence is bolstered, and then they're able to achieve more in school.
It seems so intuitive, right? So glad that the research backs that up. Um, Julia, what a wonderful way for us to spend some time together this morning. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Any advice you have to the people entering the competition?
Well, another thing we talk about a lot here at the district is joyful learning. And I think that's something to keep in the back of your mind as you design. Every student deserves to have a joyful experience at school. And how do we do that with the design of our learning environments? How do we, with the light coming in, the view out the window, the colors of the classroom, how do we always remind our students that learning is a joyful experience, and build that into the environments that we create for them?
That's the perfect choice of a word. We don't use that often enough, the connection between joy and architecture. So that's a really beautiful way for us to end. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all that you do for LA Unified School District students, as well as all of the people entering this competition. I think you've really will have invigorated their sense of great design and the opportunities therein. So thank you so much for spending the time with us. Just a reminder to you, those of you entering the competition, we'll be doing a variety of other short talks with people who we think can help you in your pursuit of coming up with a great design for this competition for LA Unified Student Districts, school districts, both faculty and students. A reminder that the deadline for the competition is December 16th, so make sure to get your entries in. And thank you again so much for your time, Julia.
Thank you. It's been great to talk with you. It's been a great conversation.